Good morning from a level 2 area in Tauranga. This is Jan Viljoen, early morning down here with us. Lovely day outside. So this morning we're chatting to Vanita. Vanita, good morning. How are you? All right, Vanita just quickly stepped out to get us some coffee down there.
I did, Jan. Do you know what happened? I realized my fan heater was on and it was making a lot of noise. So sorry. Good morning,
And
everybody.
eventually it becomes too hot for you in there. So
Yes. No, sorry about that, guys. Good morning from Auckland level 4.
level 4.
But Jan said to me, I need to be positive, so I'm going to be positive today.
Let's stick to the positive side of things. I want to say there's nothing negative has come out of immigration for a while because they haven't said anything.
That's right, 100% correct. Yes, they haven't said anything. I actually think there's a lot of decisions that have been made already, and they're just sort of sitting on it, obviously waiting to release them as they go. Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the excuses that they will make is that, yes, we went to level 4. And if you look at the teachers one, where they're allowing the partners and their children to come in now, that decision was made on the 13th of August, but it was only released, when was it? Tuesday.
That's
so
right.
Yeah. Look, Jan, we're the only country that has actually locked down our immigration department or Ministry of Business and Innovation and Technology, right? Or sorry, MBIE. Okay, whatever it stands for. Okay. Because they're actually not working on level 3 and level 4, and the minister's actually deciding on that as to which staff will go back to work during those levels after 18 months of actually having this whole pandemic, and then going, oh, well, maybe that department actually needs to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. If it looks like they don't have a real plan.
They don't. They don't. And I think there was an article or something or somebody said even like people in the department, the case officers and so on, are confused because the leaders are confused with what's going on. So yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot of changes. The minister, if you've seen his videos, where it says soon, very soon, very very soon.
But
I think.
How long is that?
How long's a piece of string? I don't know.
It's like a South African saying, now.
Yeah, exactly. Or just now. It's the same thing. Literally, it's the same thing. I actually didn't realize that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually posted a few things on Facebook last night asking people if they got any questions. So I thought I'll hit you with a few questions this morning.
Absolutely.
And so test your general knowledge on this beautiful morning. So, okay. Let's take one. Back to the Shanae Geyer asking, when will those who have valid visas from before the borders closed gain entry?
Don't know. Seriously, don't know, because obviously, if it's been processed, it's been processed. Some of them have been extended out further with the entry dates and so on. Some of them, if they haven't been processed, have been given refunds, or they're working on refunds. We don't know. It really depends on when they actually open up and say, okay, these cohorts can come in now. Like with, for instance, the 300 teachers, which they're taking in this month. Obviously they need sponsorship from the school. They need a job offer from the school, sponsorship from the Ministry of Education, and then they get nominated with that exemption to come in. So we don't know when that's going to happen.
So these teachers, just to get back on that bandwagon, these teachers, can they still apply? Let's say I'm a teacher in South Africa and I haven't applied at all can I now apply and probably get in?
So the process is with teachers is they have to go through the teaching council, get all their papers checked and everything else, get the registration from the teaching council. Then they need to go to that particular school, which is a decile level 1 or 2, get the job offer. Then with that job offer, the Ministry of Education nominates them for sponsorship to be one of those 300 teachers. And that's how they come in. If you don't have your, your teaching council registration and so on, then that's already setting you back a few steps, because you actually have to start the process. And I think it takes about up to 3 months to do that. So just be aware, and the first lot of nominations will happen this month. Then I think right up to June of next year is when the nominations will happen and the sponsorships will happen. Yeah. But there hasn't been much information around that and how it's actually working out.
All right.
Yeah.
How easy is it to migrate using a British passport?
It's the same process no matter what passport you have.
Uh,
It's exactly the
back to
same
square one.
process.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Gillian de Toy asking, what's happening with the skilled migrant visa applications?
So I'm presuming you're saying the essential skills work visa applications, or
No, I
does this
believe
mention residence?
no skilled migrant visa.
Yeah, there's okay, guys. There's no such thing as a skilled migrant visa. It's an essential skills work visa or work to residence, either accredited employer, long-term skills shortage, or your talent. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm assuming with the essential skills work visas, that's still alive and well and kicking. It's going to go on past 31st of October. We still need to get confirmation as to whether the work to residence is going to stay or it's disappearing on the 31st of October. We don't know right now.
Okay. Okay. Uh, let's see what else was there. My partner's visa expires in a few weeks. Been 20 months. COVID-19 lockdown in Auckland now and have applied for the residency visa since March. Now applying for a temporary visa but can't get the Justice of Peace signature with a level 4. Any comments? This is coming from Tom Morton.
So that application for your partner's visa will be online. So you don't need to get a JP signature for an online application. You
Okay.
upload the original documents. So, and everything now is online because they streamline the entire process for partners and so on. Partners, so it's the main applicant as well as partners and children of work, essential skills work visa holders. So you
Okay.
can upload all the documents, answer the questions, and do that online.
All right. That's good. Leon Averon saying, I think the biggest question will be if New Zealand is still the way to go. Perhaps people should rather go somewhere else. That's a very good statement.
It is a very good statement.
Mark Daniel asking, how would work to residence be a better option than the SMC route, considering the huge backlog?
With both, unfortunately, there's the backlog. Obviously, with the SMC skilled migrant category route, you usually make the points. It was a faster process as waiting 24 months and then applying for residence. But
Okay.
now they both seem equally
Mm.
the same. Obviously, with the work to residence, you've got to wait 24 months, then apply. But the processing time's up to 22 months right now.
Goodness me. Yeah. Is medical and language criteria as strict to work to residence talent visa compared to SMC residence visa for dependents? Interesting question.
Sure. So medicals are strict or they have the same criteria throughout all residence applications,
Okay.
including temporary visa applications. So if you need medical waivers and so on, you would probably need to get that. With regards to English language, right now the work to residence doesn't require an English language test for any of the applicants. Provided you can show them that English is your first language, either by way of, so he mentioned dependent children. Did he mention partners as well?
No.
Okay, so dependent children are
Dependents,
usually
or not just dependents. Or
dependent. So
dependents.
I think partners and children included. So if your partner has a job, obviously you will say yes, they're employed, in New Zealand and so on. I mean, for South Africans, you can show your matric certificate or any courses you've done to
Yeah.
show that you've done it in English if you don't have employment in New Zealand. So that is something that you can do. Look, we haven't been asked for any South African citizens to provide an English language test for the work to residence, but obviously you need to do that for the skilled migrant category.
Okay. Let's get to the next question. What will happen to those stuck in the expression of interest queue whose ILS has expired? Will they
Yeah,
have
that's
to redo it?
Yes, I would believe so because the IELTS is, or the English language test, anyone that you've done, is valid for 24 months. And that is a
Okay.
real problem because when you're in the expression of interest pool, just remember it's only a pool. You are not selected from that pool.
Mm.
That application means nothing until it's selected. I'll address this because I've had a query where somebody said, oh, well, just as long as we're in the pool, if they increase the points, it won't affect us. Yes, it
Okay.
would affect you. It would affect you because You are in a bucket that has not been chosen as yet. You applied under a particular category. With them closing the expression of interest pool, it means that they are not selecting anybody from that category and not giving invitations out, okay? So they can go, and when I say they, immigration can go and change policy, they can change points and so on, they can change the criteria, and then they can open that pool, and you have to meet the new criteria, because you can still go in and change your expression of interest application. But when you're in that pool, you are not selected, and you are not deemed to have been selected or accepted for anything or any particular visa. Yeah.
Question regarding the timeline. Let's say you are 22 months into the pool, or 22 months after writing the IELTS test. They select you then. Do you need to redo it because you've only basically got 2 months left?
It's a mandatory document. So it's a mandatory document. So when they do the initial assessment with regards to seeing if you've met the criteria of it, and if your English language test has expired, they could either tell you, look, it's expired, and you need to provide a new one, or you actually, the onus is on the person. Okay, so if you know it's going to expire, please go and do another one, because even by the time the case officer starts assessing it, it's expired.
All right. If it's not expired, and once they start accessing it, and let's say they take another year on that, and it expires in that year where they are busy with accessing, would that time need to redo that?
So there's a criteria for date of lodgement, okay, and there's a criteria for date of date of assessment or date of decision, okay. I don't know at that, with your example there, it could be the up to, I suppose if it's been accepted and you've got an invitation when that IELTS was valid, then I would assume that the case officer would take it as is when they deciding on your application and when they're fully assessing it, okay? But if they give you problems, you actually need, it's a case-by-case basis, and they need to look at it in its entirety. I'll tell you what, on that, Jan, Australia, that's why it gives people 3 years on their IELTS, because their decision timeframes are long, their visas or their temporary visas are issued for a longer period of time. It actually makes more sense to do that for a longer period of time.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. And then the same question goes further to say, and what about police clearances?
Well, your police clearance, well, obviously when you're submitting, when you've been given the invitation to apply, that's when you submit a police certificate that's valid for the 6 months, okay? If it's expired, you have to reapply for it, because you have to give valid documents when you submit all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a question about the parental, but that's still closed.
Yes.
What's the options? What's the options for a 20-year-old going on to a visitor visa? It's probably, I do believe it's probably, that's coming from Yolandi van Wyk, probably talking about the fact that kids go off their parents' visa at a certain age, which I find very stupid, actually.
Yeah. It's a bit unfortunate with those children having to sort of go from dependent children, on a student visa, and then you've got to apply for the visitor visa. The visitor visa they usually issue for those dependent children are general visitor visas, where you have to show that you're only here for a temporary stay. Look, my last one was issued, and this person had gotten, the 9 months of a visitor visa, then the automatic free extensions that, immigration provided. The last one that was provided or given was 6 months. Mind you, they still have a residence application in, okay, and immigration have decided only to give them 6 months. The thing is, though, you have to actually say, look, this child is dependent, fully or substantially dependent on me, and there's nothing you can do but, to keep them here. And they are bona fide, they're not working, they don't have anything to go back to. And I suppose you just got to present your case.
That's right. All right, let's take a few comments in. Let's start off with good morning, both of us. Good morning, and happy birthday, Jan.
Thanks, guys. Happy birthday, Jan. Sorry, I didn't know that.
That happens, at this age. I mean, I've had a lot of them. So, Good morning. Do you know if the residence application are being processed during lockdown? Ours were submitted and assigned to case office on 11 August.
Unfortunately not. They have, and I've got one in the priority queue, and the priority queue only has about 60 applications. They've actually said no, they are not assessing residence applications or making decisions or anything like that, unfortunately.
All right. There's no other, just a few more happy birthdays. But anybody else, if you got questions regarding immigration and you think that, or I think that Vanita are allowed to answer them, so please drop them down here. What's going to happen long term to the people that are now going back? Well, if you've got a visa in New Zealand and you leave now and go back to South Africa, will you be allowed to come back, or?
Again, you'd be required to get a border exemption, and that's just the way it's working both in New Zealand and Australia to come in.
Okay.
And I suppose you need to meet the criteria of that border exemption. So, you are taking a chance by leaving, and if you don't get the border exemption, you're not going to be able to come back.
Yeah. Our work to resident visas, we have applied last year, July, and is in the queue and have received our extensions. Our visas expiring now in November. Do we need to redo medicals and police clearance?
Your medicals are valid for 36 months on any application that you've lodged, and your police certificate is valid for 24 months on any, 24 months for any temporary visa application. When you submit for residence, they have to be valid within that 6 month, the stamp date.
Okay.
So let me just explain that so they know. If you submitted your residence application last year, your police certificate's still valid for 24 months, so you don't have to redo medicals, so you just got to work out the dates and when what is expiring.
Okay. Another question coming in. Hi there. If coming through on a CPVV and board exemption, should the next visa be a work to resident or a skilled migrant visa?
It depends what you qualify for when you come in on that border exemption or your critical purpose visitor visa. It depends if you are the main applicant and you have a job offer, and all depends on whether you can get either an essential skills or work to residence. Ideally, I think you'd have a better, because it's not the 31st of October and that category is still available, I would say do work to residence if you have that work to residence pathway, because that's going to give you a direct pathway to residence. Essential skills is changing massively, and we don't know what that pathway is going to look like.
Yeah, it is. Good morning. If we are ready to submit our FW visa, should we withdraw expression of interest previously submitted?
If you withdraw it, I don't know whether you can get a refund. It's really up to you. But if you're ready to submit your residence from work, you should really only have one residence application in at a time anyway. Immigration can only assess one at a time.
Okay.
So decide what you qualify for and submit, just one.
And what is the best one for you at that stage?
Yeah, exactly. And what criteria you meet.
Yeah. Thank you, Vanita. If they have our application and police clearance expired during the lockdown freeze, will we need to reapply for police clearance when they start processing again? This is after being assigned a case officer and in the priority queue.
So just remember I spoke about date of lodgement versus date of assessment. With those documents, immigration takes it at the date of lodgement. So I'm presuming all your certificates were valid at the date of lodgement. Yeah. Date of assessment is completely different. And that's where we spoke about the English language test expiring at date of assessment. Look, the case of, it's no fault of yours that it's taking that long to process. That's why immigration should really honor the date of assessment.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. But we know it doesn't really happen. What is the timeline at the moment for a work to residence visa application eligible for the priority queue? Obviously, in normal conditions, not lockdown.
2 to 3 months, depending if they have all the documents available and ready to assess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's also not an easy and a quick process, eh?
No, it takes about 10 working days to get a case officer once you go into the priority queue. Okay. Then that case officer makes contact, tells you if there's anything that needs to be updated. If you've given all that information, they should be able to make a decision. But I believe that they are sitting on some decisions for some whatever reason that may be.
Yeah, you never know why.
No.
Offshore skilled visa electrician, when will they open?
Soon, very soon. No,
Nobody knows.
no, sorry. That's not funny, really. We actually don't know when that's going to open for offshore.
Yeah, nobody knows. Eh? Happy
No.
birthday, Jan. Wish you many more. Do not worry, Vanita. We are still here. Jan
No,
Katsaboyki. I'm glad you're
yeah, I
still here.
know.
Once you have applied for residency and you are waiting for approval, is there a chance that it will get rejected at the end of it all?
It depends if you messed up, but immigration will give you an opportunity to respond if you have made mistakes or there's errors or
Yeah.
documents missing and so on that can't be verified. Okay, if it was a DIY application or self-representation, and you find that they're asking you questions, maybe seek some assistance there, because it becomes very important. I mean, this is your final chance to get residence, and try and deal with it, with somebody dealing with it there and then, rather than you trying to attempt and just make a mess of it. That's just from my experience and seeing what happens.
Few thank yous to you. Thanks, Vanita, there. And another question. We have just applied for a talented accredited visa. What is the pathway to residence? Is it easier to get residence on this visa?
Look, this pathway always had a direct pathway to residence versus the essential skills work visa, because the only pathway for that was your skilled migrant category. Putting expression of interest in, and going through that pathway.
Yeah.
So I've always told my clients, even before all these changes, if you have an option, go work to residence, because that's a direct pathway. Yes, you've got to wait 24 months and then apply, but you've guaranteed residence. So yeah. So do it before the 31st of October.
And get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question on the other channel that we can't bring on yet, from Caroline and Yurichos, asking, what about our grandparents category? We only have expression of interest.
I know. Sadly, it has not opened or reopened, and they gave 1,000 slots or a quota for 1,000, and that never opened. We don't know. We really don't know.
I mean, that's been for quite a while now. Eh?
Oh, over a year, Jan. I think it was supposed to open last year, February or March or something to that, and it never did.
Any idea on timeline of RFW if onshore and meet priority requirements?
Yeah, as I said, the timeline is about 2 to 3 months of process of assessment and so on. But really, I don't know. It depends on your case officer and the information that they have as well. Hopefully, it's a complete decision-ready application.
This is an interesting one. Hello, I'm an elderly fifth-generation Kiwi, currently offshore, and I can't get home nor get a job in my own country. This is interesting, if especially when I look at the amount of jobs available currently.
Yeah.
There's sadly, I don't know what this gentleman.
Yeah, probably he or she can't get probably MIQ space maybe to come in, or and obviously stuck offshore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's been for a lot of people as well.
And that's a big problem. I was down to somebody yesterday who works with flights a lot, and she has a massive problem getting space in MIQ.
I haven't seen. I think October was fully booked out, and maybe booked out until December now. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. So, with our WRT visa expires in Jan, our residence application is being assessed in priority queue, but I worry that with the lockdown freeze, we might not have feedback in time. If that happens, we'll apply for extension of a current visa. Will I be able to use the police clearance INZ already have as part of our residence application?
Yes, you would, because it's been lodged and then it's valid for 24 months. So yes, you would. The same with medicals as well. Just be aware in that instance, we're actually waiting for policy to come through. Come the 31st of October, that work to residence category may disappear. And if it disappears, I don't know how it's going to affect those people that have residence from work in the queue already. and and the knock-on effects from that, because what visa do they apply for come January in this example,
That's right.
to make sure that they can still get their residence processed without it being sort of a negative impact on them. So just wait until hopefully policy is announced.
Yeah. As a migrant waiting for residency, can you still get life insurance in New Zealand? You surely can. I know some companies say no. We help everybody. So
Yeah, and I think that person would be you, Jan, to best contact.
Let's contact me.
Yeah.
Let's contact me. Anita Rowe on the other channel saying we are on essential skills visa and need to move to Auckland. Do we need a police clearance?
It depends what you're doing, and obviously you may be changing jobs, or you need to check exactly what you're doing, whether you do a new work visa. Obviously, there's a streamlined process where you can get away with police clearances, but that's if you stay in the same job with the same employer and so on. So that criteria is very specific. You may need that. I don't know.
All right. But what if she's gone over the 24 months that the previous one was valid for?
Well, with the streamlined process, if you're staying with the same employer in the same job, you can actually do it without the police certificate and even new medicals. But if she's going to a different employer, and obviously changing jobs and so on, and obviously location, or region, then I would say yes, you do need it.
Okay. Well, that is one of those things that you need to do and get it done. Yeah, that's sometimes another one. Happy birthday. Not a lot of no other questions. Okay, we've got about 4 minutes left. So what are we going to talk about?
What are we going to talk about?
Haven't you got a crystal ball somewhere that you can tell us the future?
I really wish I actually had a crystal ball. But you know what, Jan? I just thought about it. It's a very good meme for you to do, where you go just now equals what did the minister say? Soon. And now that's an awesome meme to all the South Africans. So that will explain it to us very, very nicely. Look, I think there's going to be a lot of decisions. Sorry,
okay, let me just put that on. Once we have applied for residency, are we locked into that region, or can we move out of that region?
It depends what you've actually done with regards to residency. Like, have you claimed points for it? If you've done the skilled migrant category, or you have to work on a case-by-case basis. And just remember, everything is case-by-case basis. So you have to see what you are allowed within the conditions of your temporary visa and how it will affect your residence as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. This is an interesting one. What happens when your kids currently in South Africa got residency with the parents and were supposed to come to New Zealand in December to live with their parents? With the borders closed and no MIQ, they may not be able to come to New Zealand and were told that their residence will expire if they do not enter NZ by a certain time.
That's right. So immigration have extended the dates for first entry for a lot of those people. You need to keep an eye on first entry, and you need to actually get MIQ space. The moment you get MIQ space, you need to put them onto a plane and enter New Zealand. Otherwise, that residence is going to expire.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's actually a bad thing, but...
Yeah, but just remember, immigration have extended those dates, so you better keep an eye on those dates and so on. And
probably the best be to just get on the phone and call immigration.
Yes, but as I said, if they've got dates where they've extended it, okay, for first entry, so you need to make an attempt to actually book MIQ space and get on, get to New Zealand.
If we change to talent visa, can we get residency in 24 months? Or what if we have been working for the same company that has just changed to accredited? Do we have to work another 24 months?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. You have to work another 24 months and then apply after that. The time prior does not count, unfortunately.
Oh my goodness!
But it's a good option to actually do that.
Yeah. Let's pop this one up there. Can I start the process to apply for visa for myself, partner, and dependents, or do we have to wait for borders to open?
Let's just say that immigration are not processing any offshore applications besides the cohorts that they've mentioned, okay? So it's not worth applying for your family that are offshore because they're not going to process it and you're wasting money.
So basically, they can apply.
Yes.
It's just not going to go anywhere.
Exactly, and you're wasting money, so don't do that. Yeah.
All right. I don't see. Let me see if there any. Vincent Allnut saying, "Happy birthday, Jan. We missed the first part. We applied for residency with our English test and medical still valid. Do we have redo them even if we have been in the pool for over a year?"
So just remember, I suppose you missed the beginning, right? Where I said the pool is just a pool. It's a bucket.
That's right.
You have not been selected. So if it expires, you have to redo it, unfortunately.
Sadly
400
enough,
bucks.
if those stuff expires, it's back to square one for you.
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Vanita, thank you very much.
No problem. Happy birthday, Jan. Sorry, I completely did not realize it was your birthday.
No, it's one of those days. So no big parties this year. One of the openings are.
You had your big one last year, didn't you?
Yeah, but every year that I'm alive is a big party for me. So yeah. No, Vanita, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys and girls, if there's any other questions, let's take. I don't know. That one that we had that. Just happy birthday. All right. That's it.
Can I just
Any
say,
last words?
Listeners, if you are confused, contact your immigration advisor or contact immigration just to give some clarity on where you are. Okay, just sometimes it's worth actually finding out from somebody or experts that know, rather than what happened for you 3 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of things have changed. Okay, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
And I had to phone immigration once or twice, and I've always found them very helpful. You do get the day that you speak to the wrong person, but
these days sometimes, Jan, you call 3 different people and you get 3 different answers. So that's the problem.
I didn't want to say that. I know that.
Yeah. Reality. So yeah.
That's reality. All right. Guys and girls, thank you very much. Thanks, Vanita. I'll just pop you out and then I'll speak to you afterwards. Thanks, all right, that was us from a lovely morning, and enjoy your week going forward.